Welcome back to episode 150 of Who Should You Choose. Absolutely insane that you guys have watched and commented and taken part in these discussions every single day, essentially. Never made it to 150, and, there's a couple months left. We might make it to 200. Who knows? I have a lot of fun the evolution of this is more podcast for sure, and maybe next year I change it from Who Should You Choose and just bring back the coffee and shell branding. I don't know. Who's to say? That being said, I do want to talk a little bit about yesterday. I posed the question: why did 99 matter and how? Why does it matter to you guys that we get to 99 overall in terms of all content? So master set players, cards that are released. Why does that matter? And the reason why I asked it was because it's not better for the game when everything is at 99. Now we're basically there. All right, I want to make that very clear. Technically, we're not at 99 because we're getting 97s and things like that, but we're not at 99. The progression of this game is the slowest it's been since, God, before I started doing this. I mean, guys, we had 95s in December, I believe, in NHL 20. Whatever that Nations of Hockey or that Winter National or whatever the heck that was called. That event, we got Datsuk and Char at 95 overall. I think that was 20, if memory serves. But that being said, I think progression being slower is a good thing. I think the way they do it, because they don't have a build system where cards are, snipers are at 99, aren't 99 across the board. They're just 99 certain stats. I think that, is very difficult to do. And a lot of the comments that I've seen is simply just, I want to be done. And it's funny that that's the thing, because that shouldn't be it, right? Like, if the game should be, we should want the game to be better so that it holds our attention and that we don't just feel like, ugh, we got to be done it, right? Because it's a video game. It's not a job, technically. But that being said, I want to get into your replies and things like that, and we'll talk about it as we go through. So I'll sort by just the top comments, and we'll see what we got. So Matt says, this is a different topic, but Hut needs to start introducing / bring back the week's events where your team is restricted to a max overall or max salary. It would get people to switch up their lineups, strategize more, and provide a chance for people without super teams to be able to be more competitive. I loved Wildcard mode this year because you were going up against teams pretty closely matched against yours, and not shocking to me at all, I won a ton more games and had a way more competitive games even when I lost. It's a hell of a lot more fun to play against teams that are evenly matched, even when you lose, to go into almost every match with an inferior team. This is funny that you bring this up. So we were talking about this yesterday on stream. Wildcard, we collective player base, and maybe not all of you guys, but we, the hardcore player base, we're in agreement that we wanted a draft champ style mode, a lot like BR in MLB, where you draft a team. It's pretty even, and then you go and you get substantial rewards if you can go on a massive win streak. All right, it's like a combination of hut champs and draft champs. It's essentially what it is. Okay, what we got was a draft style mode that was essentially a more expanded team build of hut rush without the arcade, even sometimes the arcade, and we get the mascots. I said this since the beginning of the game when I saw Wildcard. Okay, it is a good mode that has no identity. It wants to cater to the offline crowd. It wants to cater to the online crowd, and I don't think it does. Maybe for the offline crowd more. I don't think it caters to either particularly well, because now you're at a stage of the game where people just pull their goalie when it's first to win, and that's a joke, right? I hate it. It sucks because whoever signed off on Wildcard in the current state that it was made it a completely wasted mode. And I'm glad that you liked it more, Matt, because I think you represent a smaller portion of the player base, but it should be expanded upon. So they started doing this later in the year where they pretty much gave us all the master set cards and things like that. It should be even, which I do enjoy. But the rewards for it are just super. It's another XP path. It's not win based. Like, even if you were offline and you wanted to play on rookie, or you wanted to play on pro, that's your skill level. If you won 5 games on pro, you were guaranteed a reward, something along those lines. It just ended up being not what we thought it would be, and it really feels like I would be willing to hazard a guess that by NHL 30, it's out of the game. just like Hut Rush. If it doesn't evolve or change, because I bet they don't touch I bet they don't touch it again. It's very similar to what it was, and now it's just in there to be in there, and that's unfortunate. As far as the 99 overall part, the game really isn't built to handle more than one or two 90 plus overall players on the ice at a time. The game resembles NHL hockey when teams are comprised of players that has the team at mid 70s, low 80s overall. Once you get into the mid 80s, you can see game program logic AI can't keep up with the high attributes of so many players on the ice. That's why HUD is far and away its best in the first month or two of gameplay, nosedives after that attributes increase. I'm 100% with you. Like I said, I think the best gameplay from an attribute standpoint is around December, January when it almost resembles Versus. But I'm with you, man, because when the game is slower, it sounds ridiculous because the game, at its peak is so much more fun when it's fast. But when it forces you to be, when you're slower, it forces you to make like passes, go left, right, cycle, look for shooting lanes. When you get into the slot, because you don't get many chances, you got to make your shot count. Like, I completely agree with you that it would be really really fun in that aspect, or like that's when it is fun. The one thing I do want to touch on in your first paragraph here is the restricted to max overall max salary. Here's the issue, man. It's unfortunate for the consumer. We don't have the player base for that. I've seen them try it, not just in the summertime, but I've seen like the numbers when the game is kind of at its peak. And what ends up happening is you get, let's say, 5 to 10,000 people play Hut Champs in the first 2 weeks. Okay, in a restricted mode like this, that you know what I mean, that you're kind of going into. Yes, technically, more players have restricted overalls, like lower restricted overalls. The same thing would end up happening though, because there are cards that are faster. Matthew Barzal's base card, let's say, you know what I mean, like lower overalls like that. You would find just people, and then those cards specifically would go to 100K, right? And it's tough because I think that the player base just isn't big enough to handle it. And I wish it would, because once they add restrictions, once you add a friction point, you lose 70% of the player base. And it sucks because that stuff is great. And I hope they bring back something along those lines, but that's always the issue with it. David Dangle says, it's not so much that we don't have 99s. It's that players like McDavid, Gretz, and Mario have been lower than many other cards all cycle. The best players haven't been that. Preach, man. One of my favorite things about Nicholas, the old content dev, was that he made damn sure that the best players were the best players all year. I remember talking to him. I remember back in, this is early on, like 21, and I asked him about like speed and things like that. This is when the change from, when everything went up +1 overall and speed was included in that. The problem is that McDavid's cards would hit 99 speed, right? The first, as they should, right? He should. He'll get to 99 speed at like 94 overall. The problem is that once you hit 94, he's 94 overall, and his speed is capped at 99. So when he goes to 95, his other attributes go up +1, and you get to that kind of like. That's why when we used to see like going from 95 to 96, sometimes you would get a jump in speed that was like 3, because it's an average of attributes. I remember back in like NHL 21 was when they changed it to speed goes up by 0.5, because he wanted McDavid to stay the fastest player and card in the game, as he should. And I think that this content team, if I were to guess what their like pyramid of like foundational pillars they have to hit, surprise. Like, and I don't think that's a bad thing to have. I think that for too often the last 3 years, the content has been exactly the same in a lot of cases, and we've gotten pretty bored of it. And I think it's revisionist history to think that the old content was just so much better. It was better, but there are things that this content has in 25 had been better. Fantasy cards, for example. But I think that when it comes to the best cards this year, there is a lack of planning to have those cards be at the pinnacle, because I'm in 100% agreement. The best players should be the best players all year. And You sprinkle in like the second and third liners and other non-superstars with MSPs and high event cards throughout. For me, I stopped playing Hut around 93, 94. Sure, the speed may not be 99 yet, but virtually every important stat, shooting, passing, defense, are 97, 99. Once you reach close to max stats in every category, the players no longer have any separation. The only thing that matters are the tallest players. I enjoy the game most when cards have their strengths and weaknesses, and only a handful of cards are close to perfect. It's boring to have a team where every card is the same. Oh man, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. This is why I don't like Team of the Year. And that's such a hot take. I because I know it's like one of the most loved events and it's the most hype event. And I do stuff with EA to promote it and things like that because I think it is a good event because of how much it brings to the game, like life it brings to the game. But when you look at the hardcore player base, they all just save all their stuff for Team of the Year. And I'm hoping that now people won't because my goodness, like Team of the Year and McDavid's a 95. McDavid's a 95. He was a Team of the Year, Team of the Season card, slam dunk 99, fast first to 99. Now it's not the case. Something that I think people do not, or that is overlooked, is that shooting is just as important as speed. That's a lie. It is the second thing important to skating. And they do a lot to hammer skating in this game. They took it away from I believe it's away from the algorithm of what the overall is on the card now. So, like, that's why you see holograms that are like 96 overall or whatever that have like 93 speed, but it's like, how does that add up? I believe, or no, endurance. I think speed is still included. Endurance is not, though. And face-offs is not either. But I think shooting should go up by 0.5 as well. Something that happens at the beginning of the year, no one can score. No one can score at the beginning of the year. It's every year we see it. Sure, there's glitches and things like that, but for the majority of the player base, no one scores early on. Do you guys remember if you go back and like try playing those moments where you have to bring your own team or squad battles even, and it's just like you can't get a goal no matter what your shots are. You're doing all the meta shots, like low, far side, all that. You can't. That's because shooting matters. And you're right. Once you get to 99 shooting, goalies don't matter. Goalies at 99, going up against shots at 99, the shooter will win. All of the meta stuff will go in, and even some of the stuff that isn't, you're just flicking up. That's the issue with shooting. So shooting gets to 99 because they want to have an exciting thing about cards. Like, remember the sharpshooter event? God, that was such a good idea, horribly executed. Man, that's the statement for the game. Good idea, horrible execution. Where you would have like cards that were, like high 90 shooting, and once the goalies are around like 90, there's a massive separation in goalies. And then scoring goes through the roof. You're right around January, February. So, but I agree with you. I think 99 everything. The one thing is 99 everything would allow for more choice, but because they don't do it in like a here's 99s, it's like one or two, and then everyone has those cards. Only says you hit it on the head. It's a feeling of comfort and endgame cards. You don't need to replace a 99. You know that position is filled. You have to worry about the other 19 now. It's just satisfaction. In my opinion, they should release 199 per event as like a master MSP. Maybe a collection set. Maybe every fourth event or once a month, etc. Release them, but make them rare or something that people can grind spend for. Problem here, man, is that you give a 99 that you can grind and earn that is not something that you need to spend exceptional amount of money on. You are going to end up with, like, first of all, they used to have something like this. NHL, oh my God, dude. I was at my old place, so it had to have been NHL 19, where every month you would collect seasonal collectibles for that month, and if you collected enough, you would get an icon that was, like, pretty high rated. Problem was, by, like, January, everyone's team was just those icons. Like, I remember doing a video where my entire team was icons, not one single current player, and being like, this is an issue. So when you do something like that, I'm with you on your thesis here. This is exactly what I think. I think people want 99s because they want to put a 99 in their lineup and be like, I don't have to replace this anymore. And I do think there should be a 2-month stretch, or maybe the last season, where this is not what the game is, free reign. Because it would bring back Packpocalypse brings back the player base. It just did. Giving everyone the ability to get 99 cards, it would just be the wild wild west, but it would be like obnoxious, and I think that would be a little bit more fun than what we've got now. But the other problem is, how do you battle the people that have grinded all year and now they know they can just take off the this is the problem, guys. Imagine we knew in July, August, game comes out September. Let's say middle of July, the last 7 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever, right? If they just said, here's 99s, you can go and rip packs, have fun. How do you, as a player, think about this as yourself? If you knew that was coming in May, June, and the early part of July, are you grinding? Are you playing? No, no chance, no chance. So it's a battle that like they have to figure out. Like they have to figure out what to do in that instance because I'm with you. But if they do that and they let all the rails off, like it's a tough balance for sure. What are people's thoughts on having a rotational mode in addition to Wildcard? I feel Wildcard needs to stick with the next goal wins quick play mechanic. It's the problem with Wildcard. It shouldn't be that. Wildcard should be a 3 minute period games. You can convince me on 2. Okay, you can convince me on 2. All right. Overtime. No, shootouts. Rivals should have continuous overtime. Shootouts, whatever. Okay. Your draft, your entire team is drafted from cards they give you. There's no set cards at the bottom of your lineup. You got to pick 20 cards, and they're various overalls. So you get 2 or 3 master set items. You get a couple purples, and you just go on down the list. You got some, synergies work. They matter. You can activate abilities for sure. All of that. And you get win streak rewards. So it is first to 5 straight wins. Now that's too little. Let's say 7 straight wins, okay? Because it does take a little bit longer. If you can get to 7 wins before you lose twice and you have to start your run again, dude, you get I want to say a master set player item. Yeah, like what if you did, you could earn 1. Because what would happen is people would just farm it if they were really good. But could you imagine if you got a free MSP if you could get to, let's make it 10. 10 wins before losing 2. Think how hard that is. The best players in the game. But at least you'd get a shot and it would make it interesting. And again, that's catering only to the hardcore players. But maybe it's less. I don't know. But if you can get to 4 wins, you get a pack that's like 84 and above. You get to 6 wins, you get 86 and above. Along the way, you get all the packs as well. That's what it should be like. It should not be this get it over with quick, man. Like my whole thing when I was like they need to make a new mode, and I said draft champs because I thought it was a slam dunk, was like it needs to be fun to play. The goal should not be the reward. The goal should be the fun part of it. Like that's what's brutal, man. My idea for rotational mode would be built around theme teams. Restrict league teams so that every card that you get has something, has a use for something. That way, when a PWHL rotation comes, you can build out a lineup for that rotation. The week after could be AHL, then OHL, and so on. Something to give every card meaning. That can't be done unless they add a new economy in. So because one of the economies in NHL is card overalls, right? You pull an 86 overall McDavid in June or whatever, it's an 86 overall. It doesn't matter what's on the card, right? So if you pulled the PWHL card, those are if you knew that restriction modes were coming, right? No one's gonna be able to play. Very few. You remember you got to fill out a lineup of 20 players. Now they could give you half a team, and you just got to fill out the other half. But like I mentioned earlier, what's going to happen is you're going to get price locking, whatever those cards are for that week. People that would have an interest in playing, but they're free to play. They don't play a ton. They don't have the coins to get those cards. They're not going to play. It would just be they need a restrictive mode that is not super restrictive. Like, I don't know how to describe that. I don't know. I'll think about it. I think what we need is MSPs to upgrade each month after the release. Dude, I've been saying this for years. 100% agree. Imagine they just went up +1 at the end of every month. so that all MSPs are relevant. The reason why they won't do that is because if they have a dud event, then and it's like, why do I gotta go after these cards? My what was the first event this year? My cover athlete, Eric Lindros, is gonna be 93 soon. I don't care. Like that's what would happen. That's why. This year it was so one of the other pillars of EA this year is surprise. Okay. Bang, here's a random event. Here's a crazy new mechanic. Here's free MS or free event item or here's free abilities. Like random stuff we never would have expected them to get. We used to have the ability to make every old MSP. Imagine you just came into the game for EA Play and you were you were a Seattle Kraken fan and you wanted to get that Vince Dunn sharpshooter card. Super random, but that's what I remember. Like you can't. You can't go back. You got to buy it. It's like that sucks, right? So it's FOMO. They don't allow you to upgrade those cards past it because they want you to focus on the 2 weeks at hand here, and that's like one of my least favorite things. I feel like they need for 99 is primarily because people think all of their favorite players and all of their team of the year, team of the season cards will be 99. We spent so much on them but barely upgrade. To solve this, just regularly upgrade all of the cards. Made Sharpshooter Kairu. You can now upgrade him to 97 overall using Sharpshooter collectibles or something along those lines. Part of the issue this year, which makes the cry for 99s louder, is because some people's favorite players are just receiving upgrades to 95 in July while the events are at 97. 100% agree, man. 100% agree, dude. I think that upgrading old MSPs, like if it's going to be FOMO based and you have to make the cards in the 2 week span, remember how crazy it was at launch, guys? They only allowed you to make week ones for a week. Like we went so far backwards in some of the mechanics of the game that like I couldn't believe it. Like early on, that was so funny. They literally went backwards. It's just, oh my goodness. But is what it is. That's going to do it for episode 150, guys. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me in the morning, your afternoon, you're on your commute. I stream at 2 p.m. Eastern time every single day. I'm closing in on Division 1 in Rivals, and that is my end game of NHL for the year. So I won't be streaming it really. We'll be covering the events. My YouTube videos aren't going anywhere. In fact, YouTube, I learned my lesson. I'm keeping it all NHL. But on stream, if you're interested in Tarkov, if you're interested in MLB, if you're interested in college football that just came out, come stop by, come hang out in the afternoon while you're at work. I know what it's like. I used to do it, and I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.